Welcome to the Stripe EasyPay presentation. My name is Shazeb Suhail, and today I will be going over my GCU Senior Capstone project. Let's begin. What is Stripe? To understand EasyPay, you must understand Stripe. An overview of Stripe is an online, developer-friendly financial infrastructure built for accepting online payments, sending payouts, automatic financial processing. It's ultimately for growing revenue. Out of these features that Stripe offers, we will focus primarily in our project accepting payments. What is EasyPay? EasyPay is an integration of Stripe and its API. An overview of EasyPay. It is a web application, and its primary purpose is for creating and distributing Stripe payment pages. Here I have an example of such a payment page. The objectives of this EasyPay capstone project was to create a user authentication schema so that when you create products, they're tied to specific accounts and that only them can edit and modify their catalog items. Another project objective was for data encryption, because in this we handle user authentication, but we also handle a Stripe API key, which ties a EasyPay account to a Stripe account. We had to encrypt the data in our database in the case that if a hacker or someone who is not supposed to access the database gets hold of it, they won't be able to easily decrypt the Stripe API keys or passwords. Now, Stripe API keys can be regenerated, but we wanted to encrypt them just to avoid any sort of data leakage. And the last objective of EasyPay is to secure online payments. Here I have a dashboard that you can see is a basic example of what it will be like when you start generating revenue using EasyPay and when you view it on your Stripe dashboard. So here are some of our main design decisions taken for the EasyPay app. For the front end, the presentation layer, we have a Vue.js app. The Vue.js app was chosen because I've worked in Angular, I've worked in React, and sorts of other front-end frameworks, but I wanted to challenge myself for this capstone project and learn a new technology that would not only increase my skill set, but to challenge myself in how fast I could learn a tool and become experienced in it. For the backend, business logic, the API was built in C#, primarily because the Vue was a new technology. C# was a technology that I was already experienced with. I wanted to use it and I like C#. I think it's a great language and it's just my preference in using. For the SQL server, that is our primary database. It is available in the Azure cloud, which is one of the locations for our deployment for our C# API. And we have the Heroku cloud deployment for our Vue app. Heroku was chosen because just found some information online how to deploy it because I wasn't sure how to. And we have RSA cryptography because encryption was supposed to be a main focus in this project. We decided to go with RSA because I wanted a public/private key encryption standard so that in essence I could have the public key on the Vue app because, JS is viewable in the browser by all users in the developer tools. So if I had my publishable key in the front end, then when the information got sent to the back end, I could decrypt it with the private key, which would be stored on the API that is only viewable by the developers. That's pretty much covers most of our design decisions that we took for this EasyPay app. For our implementation approach for EasyPay, I followed an agile Scrum development framework. It began with an initial project conception, which was the idea for EasyPay. Then we had 1 week sprints, where I would, in the beginning, talk in a discussion with my classmates about what I planned to do, what I had done, and any sort of roadblocks I had foreseen. Then throughout the week was the development phase, and I would test simultaneously, concurrently, but I would do primary testing at the end when I was writing out unit tests. Then at the end of the week, we would make sure we have all our documentation, all our features working, and then we would submit a milestone update. And so this pretty much looped around in a sprint until this final project delivery. For the software architecture, you can see that I have an actor which only interacts with the Vue.js frontend. From there, the Vue.js can send requests to the C# API, which then has access to the database that it can query, and it has access to the Stripe API, which it uses to generate payment portals and send back to the Vue.js, which is viewable by the user. Here is the UML diagram in our EasyPay app. So couple things is we have the Vue app in the front, topmost. On the bottom side, we have the C# API, and you can see most of our data models exist in the C# API. We have an account form, a login form, we have different sales forms, then we have different update requests that we created. Then that all ties to the main location, which is the EasyPay controller, where our API endpoints are set up. Most of all our functionality from the Vue app is received through the EasyPay controller through HTTP requests. Tied to the EasyPay controller, we have our database service, we have our Stripe service, then we have our encryption service, which is mostly tied to the database, and we have an additional Azure Blob storage, which I use for uploading photos, which we will get into. On the Vue app, we have our sign up page, login page, home page, and the home page has subsequent components, user catalog, and account page, which can only be accessed once a user is signed into the home page. For our sitemap, we have 8 different pages you can land on. The green homepage is our main point of entry, which is tied to an about page where you can read about the app, gives more information on what it is, a demonstration of how to set up an EasyPay account with Stripe and begin creating products. We have our login and sign up page. When you sign up, it takes you to the login page. When you log in, you go to the home page, and that's how you're able to access the second nested layer, which is you get available access to the user catalog component, which is then also accessible towards the account page, where you can also view your account, update information on there as well. Then from the user catalog component, and technically tied to the home page, is Stripe checkout pages. So when you have items available to check out, you click on the checkout button, it takes you to the Stripe checkout page, and depending on whether you abandon the checkout page or you complete a successful page, will take you to the receipt page. And this is pretty much our 8-page sitemap. Here is our database. So we're only working with 2 database tables. We have our main accounts table, which houses our email, username, password, and Stripe key. And each account can have 0, 1, or many different items existing in the EasyPay catalog table. There's a foreign key username, which is tied to the accounts table, and each item in the catalog, it has different descriptions of what the item is supposed to be able to instantiate a checkout page with, such as item name, price, currency, and an image. Now here are total EasyPay API portion endpoints. So we have checkout endpoints, we have upload image points, we have getting information from the catalog, we have information for logging in, registering in, and creating updates, and we have a webhook at the bottom, which is primarily supposed to be used once a successful checkout has occurred, but there's way more dynamic features that can be used with it, but we haven't got into too much. It just exists as a way to make sure that we can create a webhook. Now here are the features of EasyPay. So we have our register and login, so you can have an account to start creating items, which you can then share. But obviously the green arrow is pointing to what happens when your created items exist in your catalog. Users, non-registered users, can come check out your information, your catalog. I have an upload photo for product images. You can see most of these photos I uploaded from my phone or from my desktop. I didn't have to use images online primarily. I could use my own images, and that's where the Azure Blob Storage came in handy. Then we have a live mode and test mode payment pages. So Stripe API offers two type of API keys. You have a live key and you have a test key. Now depending on which key you use determines if you could use fake money to test payment checkouts, and then you can switch over to your live key, which will then generate actual revenue if people check out your stuff. You can share the payment pages with a URL link. You basically add your username to the end of the homepage URL, and that is you can share amongst friends and family, and they can go ahead and view your catalog. And the whole point of the EasyPay feature is to generate real revenue. So you can generate real money using EasyPay. Here I have the software demo. If you wanted to check out the GitHub for the Vue app, there it is. We also have the GitHub for the C# API for you to check out as well. Here we are on the actual Stripe EasyPay Vue app front end. What you can see right now is the home page. From the home page we can go to the login page, sign up page, and then we have an about page with more information on the actual website. Then if you go to login, I'll show you that we have UI messages to let the user know how to proceed further. We have our actual product creating form, and then we have our items. We can choose to edit items, we can choose to delete items. I'm not going to delete that one. You can create new items as well, but the whole point is you create these items so that you can send a URL to these items so that people can purchase your stuff. Additionally, you have this account page where you can update your username, password, email, and then you can switch between your live key and test key for your Stripe account. But now that I have a selection of catalog items, I'll just log out. And to access, you basically just type the username, the catalog you want to check out. You can see I now have access to these items. If I was to click any one of these, you can see I would end up at a checkout page, and then people can purchase as well. Once an item is purchased, they should land on the receipt page, and it just lets the user know that they were able to buy the item, that their credit card was charged, And here's a Stripe account. Basically, you will see all your payments here. From here, you could click into these items. You'll see what item was purchased. You can send refunds. You can send receipts. But that's more on the Stripe side, and this is pretty much the EasyPay side. So now let's continue on with the presentation. So as far as the limitations of the EasyPay app, we have a couple. First and foremost, we can only create single item payment pages. In the demonstration, I showed that when we check out an item, it only shows that one item and you could purchase that one item. Now, an example of a multi-cart checkout would be here. You can see there's multiple items listed, and then there's 9 more items that are hidden that can be viewed. But that's kind of the way we want future iterations of this app to be like. We have a missing shipping details section, so when you create a product, you can't give it a specific shipping price, delivery time, and that's indicated down here. You can see that you could set the number of days with an actual price. So these are a couple limitations so far on EasyPay. It's only limited to one item and not that much configurable details on the shipping side. So as far as bugs go, there's really no loading icon for the user. So if they're clicking buttons but maybe it's taking some time on the API or whatever, the user might just end up clicking more and more buttons because they don't know that something's happening. There's no loading indication, so the user just can keep clicking stuff. And this could, duplicate entries of stuff, impatient, bad user experience. Additionally, you saw the receipt page, it lacks detail. And the reason it lacks detail is because when I covered earlier about the webhook, we'll look as far as why the webhook isn't working properly. But it's just that the payment receipt page is just lacking information. Doesn't say what product you bought, who you bought it from, any additional information about who to contact, or a confirmation number, which could be useful. So as far as active malfunctions, the Stripe webhook handler is throwing errors. So the webhook is pretty much supposed to redirect a request back to the API once a successful payment has occurred. But the reason it's not working is because I failed early on to realize that each endpoint would have to be, a secret key needs to exist for, and the user themselves have to go set up the webhook handler. It's not that the developer can do it for them. I could create the functionality, but the user also has to go and set up themselves. And so you can see that I do have a webhook installed, but it's just failing. It's picking up that items are, being bought or purchased, or transactions are completing, but I'm not able to take any further backend actions due to this failing webhook, such as like removing the product from the catalog once it's bought. Because if you can only buy a single item and someone purchases it, but it's still live on that seller's catalog, and then someone else purchases it, then you kind of have a problem, because now you got to give out refunds. You can't give the same product. If there's only one of them, you can't give it to 2 people. So these are just some malfunctions occurring in the app. For the future versions of this app, obviously we want that multi-item cart checkout so that users can indicate multiple quantities and multiple items all in one, so that they don't have to keep purchasing. Then we want to create individual items from sellers. Obviously you could query the seller's name and you get the entire catalog, but we would like it to where you can only pick certain items, and then there's more of a display, and the image is zoomed in. That would be nice. Also, customizable seller catalog UI display. If they don't like the colors that the EasyPay is defaulted with, they could add their own colors. They could add like night modes, or they could add their own background images. We want to make it a lot more customizable for the seller's catalog. Also, we want to add seller ratings. People who are just coming to the website, they want to know that this seller is trustworthy, that they actually send out the items that they're, listing. So having these seller ratings can have other users rate sellers so that they can, increase the trust in the seller. And then we want a subscription business model for advanced features such as, the customizable seller catalog and what other features I can come up with at the time in the future. We want to create a subscription business model so that, we could have paying users of EasyPay. We can make some profit while users make profit on the website as well. So that's pretty much it for this presentation. It got a little lengthy, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I try to cover as much in-depth detail as I can. That's my image. I go to GCU, Grand Canyon University, and there's my LinkedIn. And if you guys would like to connect, do let me know, or just send me a follow or friend request on LinkedIn. And yes. That brings us to the end of this Stripe EasyPay presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.